Hello, gentle viewers. This is Avindian, welcoming you to a brand new series, Magic the Gathering: Duels of the Planeswalkers 2013. So for those of you who aren't aware, Magic the Gathering is a card game developed by Richard Garfield in the 1980s that became stupidly popular. And is still pretty popular, but I think the popularity may be a bit lower than it used to be. I was obsessed with the game in high school. I played it a lot. I kind of let it go by the wayside, and then I picked it back up later on. Now, you may have caught that I said 2013. For whatever reason, Wizards of the Coast stopped producing this game in 2014. And I don't have the 2014 edition. Not that I think it's that much better or anything like that. There's probably just some different cards in there. What we're going to do today, and for the next couple of weeks... Oh, you get this lovely shot of the background. Ooh, that's kind of neat. As we're going to use this to explain how Magic the Gathering works. And we're going to play a little bit of the campaign. I still find these to be one of the best single-player Magic outlets. There are some flaws with the game that I'll talk about as we play. But it's pretty good. The very best Magic the Gathering game, of course, is called, was the Magic the Gathering released by Microprose in about 1997, which, although 20 years old, is still tremendous fun, but sadly won't record. I have a copy of the game, it just doesn't record, so we have to make do. Okay. So we're actually going to go back to the very beginning of the campaign, because we want someone that's fairly easy. Because this is purely for instructional purposes. So there are different campaigns you can do. There are puzzles and things like this. I have, I believe, completed the campaign. But I have not played the Revenge campaign very far in. But this is just about learning the game for now, and if people really dig it, we'll play through it again. So, the most important thing to know about Magic the Gathering is the 5-color system. There are 5 colors of Magic the Gathering: red, blue, green, black, and white, and each of them have certain advantages and certain powers. So if we look at this deck, we can see it's a medium speed deck with decent sized creatures. Some pretty good flexibility, but not much synergy. So we need to find a deck that matches up well. So we've got a couple of choices. First, we play a really, really fast deck, like Goblin Gangland, where we just overwhelm them before they can do anything. We could play a slower deck that's more powerful, like Obedient Dead. We haven't unlocked all the decks. We've unlocked quite a few of them. We could play a decent speed of deck that's got a lot of burn cards. We're going to play with Pack Instinct. I'm going to do this for 2 reasons. One, because green is the easiest color in Magic to learn. And 2, because I'm almost done unlocking all the cards and I'd kind of like to try them all. So let's go to Pack Instinct really quickly here. And we won't mess with it now. I want to teach you guys the basics, and then we can go into how the game works. So all this is just a series of duels. There's not much of a story to it. Ooh, we get to play first. Very cool. Okay, so the first thing you do is you draw 7 cards, and every deck has 60 cards in it. You can play with more cards if you want. There's disadvantages to doing it, so I usually just stick with 60. We've got 4 lands, which is good, but we don't have enough creatures. I'm going to go ahead and draw a new hand. That's better. That's actually quite a bit better. So we're going to keep hand. Okay, so let's talk about the basics of Magic the Gathering. Each player has 20 life. The first person to get the other guy to 20 points or less. I mean, guy in the gender neutral sense. Because, of course, women play Magic, as well they should. It's a tremendous game. Hang on just a second while I get my timer started. There we go. Your goal is to get the other player down below 20 life. And you do that by casting magic spells. Now, every card in the game, and let's see, can we zoom in on one? I know I can't cast it, I just want to zoom in. Here we go. Most cards in the game look like this. Now, again, this is from 2013, so if you're playing Magic today in 2017, a lot of the cards you'll see here either won't be available or will be drastically different. This is, again, the purpose of this is just to give you an idea of how the game works. So every card in the deck, with some exceptions, but this is a good place to start, has a few common features. The title of the card, the amount of mana it has to cost, the type of card, some flavor text, maybe there's some extra rules in here, but this one is just flavor text, and then for creatures, power and toughness. So let's take, we'll begin with mana cost. Most cards in the game require mana to cast them. How much depends on these symbols. This says it costs 3 mana because there's 3 trees, and it also tells you that all 3 of them must be forests. And forests are a type of land that produce green mana. There is no other way to cast this card other than with 3 green mana. There's other things that create green mana, but forests are your most reliable source. Not every card, of course, is like this, so let's zoom back out, and let's look at another example, the Sentinel Spider. You'll notice this has a 3 with a gray circle. This means you use 2 forests and 3 of any other kind of mana, which could also be forests. We're playing right now with a deck that's all green, so all of our land will be forests. Makes sense? Different colored decks have different mana symbols. We happen to have forests because we're green. There's mountains for red, swamps for black, and you'll see some of those as we play on. This particular card has 2 special abilities. Vigilance, which means it doesn't tap when you attack it, more on that later. And Reach means it can block creatures with flying, and again, more on that later as we play. These are creature cards. Creature cards belong to a class of cards called permanents, which means they do not leave the battlefield unless something makes them leave. Another card disrupts it, kills it, drives them off, what have you. Creatures have this additional stat in the bottom right. The first number is power. This deals 4 damage a turn. The second number is toughness. It can take 4 damage a turn. Monsters heal all damage at the end of every turn, so if you don't kill the creature in a single turn, you won't be able to kill it. So this means, and I hope the math is obvious to you, were I to play this card on turn 1, which I can't, I won't have 5 mana, but if I could, I would beat him in 5 turns. 4 damage, 5 turns, you lose. This is the essence of Magic. Now, there's lots and lots of other types of cards, but creatures are the most important to know. What other types do we have with us? We have an artifact. Artifacts generally cost I'll say colorless mana. Magic Pedants, or Pedants in the crowd. I know that colorless mana is a thing in modern Magic in 2017. I don't care. I grew up with the game in the 90s. I've always called this colorless mana. I'm going to keep calling it colorless mana. If you don't like it, deal with it. If you play Magic today, colorless mana means something different than it used to. Here, though, it's again 2 mana of any color. Artifacts are also permanents, and certain things are especially good at targeting artifacts. Notice that artifacts are colorless. This is not a green card. This is a grayish card. And here it tells you what it does. Pretty handy, right? Every green spell costs 1 less colorless mana. And lastly, we have 2 sorceries. Sorceries, unlike artifacts, unlike creatures, are played once and then they go into your discard pile. Because it's Magic, we call it the graveyard, but it's the discard pile. Important note in Magic, you cannot reshuffle your deck unless a card lets you do it. If you run out of cards and you cannot draw, you lose the game. There are decks built around this. There might even be some built around it in this particular version of Magic. Anyway, so Sorcery is a one-time cast, and it can only be played on your turn. That's why it's called a Sorcery. There's other cards called Instants and Interrupts that can be played on the other player's turn. Here, target creature you control fights target creature you don't control, and we'll explain why that matters later on. Okay. But the heart and soul of Magic is the land. And every deck, every good deck, is approximately approximately 25 to 33% land. You can play one land a turn, unless again a card says you can play more than one. And then you do what's called tapping the land, turning it sideways to cast a spell. Every turn you can only play one land, so that's what we're going to do for our turn. We're going to go and play a forest. Different turn phases. We have nothing we can play legally. Let's stop the timer for a second so we can talk a little more. That's one reason I love this game, is you can pause it. So you will notice, why can't I cast this? Because it says target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. This is not a legal card. I have no target creatures. Talrand over here doesn't have any target creatures. And so we proceed. Now notice our good friend... that's fine. Oh, we can just use this. Oh, very cool. Okay. I'm new so I can show you the card. Okay, for some reason I can't show you the card. This is an island. There it goes. This is an island. This is a land, but it's for a blue deck. And it produces blue mana, which you'll see is a little water droplet. Right. Back to our side here. Let's talk a little bit more about the battlefield, as it were. So this is how many cards are in the deck, 52, and this is how many cards are in his hand, 7. Each turn is composed of, how I learned it was 7 separate steps. I don't think they teach the game that way anymore, but hopefully this will help you. The very first thing everyone does every turn is they untap all of the cards. You tap land when you cast a spell. You tap creatures when you attack. You tap other things that tell you to tap them. So you untap everything you've got. Second step is called the upkeep phase. And it honestly isn't always used all the time. More often than not, the upkeep phase will be skipped, especially in the early game. Certain cards will specifically say, during upkeep, do X, Y, or Z. That's why the phase exists. Then you get to the draw phase. This is where you draw a card. If you cannot draw a card during the draw phase, you lose the game. And again, these basic rules can be overridden by any card in the game, as long as the card changes that. So there's a card called the Howling Mind that'll let you draw 2 cards a turn. Actually, everyone draws 2 cards a turn, but we're trying to simplify here. But you always have to draw at least 1 card a turn. Then you get to main phase number 1. In a main phase, you can cast any spell in your hand and play 1 land. Then you get to the combat phase, and we'll talk about combat when it actually becomes relevant. We don't have creatures, so it doesn't matter. Then there's a second main phase. So we are now currently on stage 6. Actually, there's 8 phases. I lied. I thought there were 7. There's 8. There's a second main phase. If you didn't play land in the first one, you can play it in the second one. And you can play additional cards. You can play as many cards as you want as long as you have the mana for them. The next phase is called the cleanup phase. It's technically not a separate phase because it happens automatically. All creatures that can be healed are healed. Sorceries are discarded. Other things are no longer in play. And then you have the discard phase. If at any point during the game you have more than 7 cards in your hand, you have to discard. It almost never happens, but it is a rule. You can't have a hand that's as big as you want. So that's how I learned Magic. And I believe Magic is still fundamentally the same way today. So let's see what happens with the rest of the turn. Okay. You cast a Kraken Hatchling. Okay. This is good. I like that it's pausing automatically. So this is a pretty basic creature. This is not the sort of thing that really gets us all hot and bothered. It does have a lot of toughness, which means he can block with his creature if I attack, but it can't actually inflict any damage. So, it's a nice cheap wall, basically. You're not going to attack with a creature that does 0 damage, because it does 0 damage. Okay, so we got our new card. 1 land for every life we control. This could be very handy later on. Okay, so now we have 3 possible cards. But we're not going to play Prey Upon because that would be silly. We have Nature's Lore. This gives us basically a free force, and look here, shuffle your library. Your deck is called your library. Again, please note that you don't shuffle your library unless a card tells you to, and you don't shuffle the graveyard into the library unless a card tells you to. This is really handy, but long term this is the smarter play because this makes every spell easier to cast. There's no downside. And so even though a 3rd force would be pretty handy right now, I'm going to play this card instead. So we cast a spell. It's now permanently out here. And my turn is finished. There is no clock in Magic. You play until somebody dies. I guess running out of cards. Okay. This is a great other teachable moment. This is an enchantment. Like artifacts, creatures, and lands, enchantments are permanents. They stay on the battlefield. There are global enchantments, which in this version and most of the earlier ones were just called enchantments, and then there are creature enchantments. So this says that every player, every character with creature they have with flying gets +1/+1. So 1 extra power, 1 extra toughness for every creature with flying. Fortunately, the little Kraken D-League doesn't fly, so this card isn't the worst thing to have right now. But I'm sure it'll get much worse later on. Okay. Now we're going to spend 1 mana instead of 2. This is why we played this, because we definitely want this extra forest out here. You can pick any forest you want. A lot depends on artwork. It doesn't really look like a forest to me. It looks kind of like a swamp. Let's pick that one. That one looks really green. It actually should go onto the battlefield tapped. That's weird. Okay. Okay, now we're reaching a problem. This guy's going to be a 4/2 creature because of the spell he casts. Okay, so how are we going to counter this? Okay. The Primal Hunt Beast is hexproof. This means it cannot be the target of spells or abilities. Which is pretty cool. But it doesn't block flying creatures, and neither does this. That's really handy, but I don't have the forest for it. Damn, but we need 1 more forest. Oh well. We're going to go ahead and cast the bigger creature, the Leatherback Baloth. This is because I know blue decks, and blue decks typically aren't great at killing creatures. They're really good at stopping them from being cast. But they're not great at removing creatures. We're going to take 4 damage this turn. There's nothing I can do about that. I should actually explain that, shouldn't I? If a creature is flying, like our friend here, the only thing that can block it is another creature with flying, or a creature that has reach. This guy has neither, so I can't block the creature. I have to eat the damage, and First Blood is struck. Oh no! Another Kraken Hatchling. This is getting real old. We have a possible solution to this problem. I'm going to cast Prey Upon. I'm going to pick my creature. No, he can't legally block. We're going to kill one of them. Well, this kind of creates like a little arena. My creature fought his and killed it, and it died. I'm going to attack with my creature because he can't block unless the creature has flying. And if he blocks with this, it'll die. So we'll see if he's going to eat 4 damage or he's going to block me. He's choosing not to block. He takes 4 damage. But it doesn't matter, because until I can fix this problem, I'm going to take 4 damage every turn as well. Yeah, I can't block anyway, so there's no reason not to attack. When a creature is tapped, it cannot block. And you always tap a creature to attack with it. Unless, again, he has a special ability. Okay, now we've got some options. Including this fellow. The Sentinel Spider. Okay, so I'm torn. And I think I'm going to make the non-conventional play. So, this ability will let me kill his enchantment. Which means he'll be a 3-1, and then I can play my spider next turn, and he won't be able to stop me. So I think this is a smarter decision. Okay, and we murder his enchantment. And that makes our lives just a little bit easier. So we attack. He, again, can't block or chooses not to. You actually could block with that, but we just die. A good turn. We're still going to take damage this turn, but we'll take less. And I know I have the spider in my hand that I can cast whenever I want on my turn and do some damage. So I can block him next turn. Okay. What's a Fangorn? Whenever Fangorn Firstborn attacks, put a +1/+1. Can reach attack. That's really cool. But not what we need. Hello, Sentinel Spider. Sentinel Spider is awesome for 2 reasons. 1 is reach, but 2 is vigilance. If I attack, he doesn't tap. And we're going to attack him with both of my 4/4 creatures, because I have no reason not to. He will probably block one of them this time. Otherwise, he'll take 8 damage. Yep, just as I predicted. Oh, so here we see our first instant. Instants are nasty because the computer can, because the other player plays them on his, can play them on anyone's turn. And blue's really nasty for instants and interrupts. So this means he'll actually be a -1. He'll actually heal a point. And he's got another one, too. Damn, blue. Oh, they must have changed that rule of Magic. It used to be, if a spell would give you, if a spell was for negative power, it would actually heal the other person. The other team, rather. Okay. We'll play another forest. Yeah, we should be good now. We're going to cast another Sentinel Spider. We're going to hit him with everything we got. Notice he doesn't tap. Again, vigilance. And now he doesn't have any of his tricky cards. He is dead next turn. And there's always a chance he'll pull that one card that he needs. He's got another island. If he attacks me, I'll kill it with a spider. What did you get? Oh, that's scary. So here we see one of the bigger creatures. An 8/7 is one of the bigger creatures in any deck. But he only has one such creature. Let's go ahead and cast this guy. It's not going to matter. I'm going to win the game on this turn. Because here's the thing. No matter how scary this guy is, I attack with all 4 of my creatures. He can only block 2. In fact, this one can't block anything because he can only block a creature that has flying. So my spider here will die. So sad. But so does Talorand. And there we go. Glorious victory. In Duels of the Planeswalkers 2013, every time you win a game, you unlock a new card. We're going to hit Campaign Ladder. And now it should read, if we decide to play without a get. This is 30 out of 40. Why didn't I unlock card number 40? Curious. Most curious. How are we doing on time? We have time to do another one? Just to show you some other... Yeah, we got enough time to at least start another one. But actually, we might even finish it. Let's play the next opponent. No, it's an encounter. I don't want to mess with those. Okay. Here's Garrick. Now, Garrick has a green deck. He actually, in fact, has the exact deck that we just had. So, how do we want to handle that? I don't have Nicol Bolas's deck. Might need to do something else to unlock it. I really like the Crosswinds deck. It's actually not bad. Okay. White and black is a very good combination if played perfectly. Okay. Our biggest problem is going to be with this deck is going to be these scary creatures. And they're big, so we either need something to stop him from casting or something to remove those creatures. So we either have Born of Flame. Obedient deck is really... Obedient Desert. Peacekeepers is really good. I like a fast deck like this. I don't think I've ever played with the Exalted Darkness deck. This sounds really cool, actually. Let's try it. Start Duel. You get a little video. There's like the slightest storyline to this, but it's honestly not that important. Magic the Gathering is not a game people play for story. Okay, this tells us about this. There's some flavor text, and it'll tell you how to play. Okay. This is our first multicolored deck. Okay, we've got a pretty decent hand. What does it mean if something is exalted? +1/+1. Oh, that's what this deck does. Here's the thing. This is a great opening hand. I love it. But we only have 2 lands, and only one of them is a swamp. We have to ask ourselves, are we going to get a plains or a swamp? If we do, we're fine. Playing first is such a big advantage against a slower deck. I'm actually gonna, even though there's nothing I can play first turn, it's smart for me to take this first action. Okay, and what are you? Tormented Soul. Cannot block, can't block, and is unblockable. Okay, we still play our land. This is a really crappy card, but we're getting it out super early. And there's some pretty cool benefits to this creature because of that land we played. Anytime a creature attacks by itself, it gets +1/+1. Up there's our old friend Nature's Lore. This is the deck we just played with, so we should know it fairly well by now. Okay. Yeah, everything that has... So anything we can play that has Exalted, we want to play. Okay, now we know whenever he attacks, he's going to get +2. 1 from the land and 1 from our creature here. I like this deck. This deck has really good synergy to it. The ultimate synergy card game is actually Star Realms, and I think we'll play that this week too. Okay, 3/2 and Trample. That's not so much fun. And you got another Bloody Nature's Lore. Damn it. Okay, he's not starting off nearly slowly enough for my tastes. A Child of the Night would be handy. Doomblade. Goodbye, creature. This is what black is really good at, killing other creatures. Okay, well, remember, we're going to want to attack alone so we get all the Exalted benefits. And victory is ours. Well, for this one. We haven't actually won the game yet. Although I feel pretty good about it. Okay. Two abilities worth talking about. I didn't get a chance to talk about before I killed him Trample. We'll talk about these. Shroud means a creature can't be targeted. It's basically the same as Hexproof. I don't know why there's two different words for the same ability, but it is what it is. The other ability is called Haste, and it means normally when you cast a creature, it's got Summoning Sickness, which means you cannot attack the first turn you play a creature. If you have Haste, you can attack the first turn. And then this is Equipment, which means you attach it to a specific creature, and the important thing is here, it costs nothing to equip it. So that's pretty handy. It's actually kind of scary. +1/+1 until I turn reach force you control. Holy crap. That's scary. So he equips the creature on there, and now it becomes basically a creature enchantment, and now he can attack with it right now and do some serious damage. I'm gonna eat it. Oh, that's nasty. Okay, we have our own equipment. Can you grab Pluto? Oh, yes. I'm gonna tell you why I'm excited here in just a second, but I don't think I can use it this turn anyway. Okay. It can't attack, it can't block, and it's unblockable, so there's honestly no reason not to just... actually, very important. Regeneration. If a creature would be killed, you can pay this mana cost to regenerate it, which means it doesn't go to the graveyard, it stays on the battlefield, but it becomes tapped. Very handy way to keep your creatures alive. The problem is we're dead in 2 turns because of this giant creature, and there's nothing I can do to stop him right now either because of stupid Shroud. Oh, you're gonna kill my artifact, aren't you? Dick. It's a good play. That artifact could have been nasty if I'd actually equipped. So if you want an insidery term about Magic, right now the problem we have is called mana lock. Oh shit. I have to throw away a creature. Okay. So if a creature doesn't have trample, all 9 damage will kill this. But none of it will spill over to me. But this 4 damage will get through scot-free. We are experiencing one of the worst things that can happen to you in Magic, which is called mana lock. We have 1 land, we have 2 lands and have only had 2 since the beginning of the game. We're a little better off now, but it's probably too late. Okay, I like this enchantment actually, because I can use it to tap a target creature. This allows me to keep someone from blocking. But I can't cast it. I will, however, cast an Aven Squire. It'll give me a boost to my Exalted rating. It doesn't matter, I'm dead next turn. There's nothing I can do about it either, which is what really sucks. He'll be a 4/4 this turn because I have 2 things with Exalted. Why are you not a 4/4? Oh, because the other creature died. Yep. shit. We're screwed. We needed a fast-moving deck, and we got a very, very slow-moving deck. We lost. It's very sad, but we have been defeated. I'm just gonna skip blocking. I'll take it like a man. We've been thwarted. Unfortunate, but it happens. That's going to be it for this episode. I think we'll go ahead and play this for at least the next 2 episodes. Just because, A, I love playing Magic the Gathering, and B, I think it's an interesting game. Even if this isn't interesting for reasons that real Magic is interesting, and I'll talk about that in the next episode. For now, please let me know what you think down below. Comments are always welcome. Like, subscribe. And until next time, when we will get our bitter revenge on Garrick the Wildspeaker, this has been Avindian, and I bid you good day.